Hey guys, I'm Tom the Tech Chap, and I've been using the new Huawei P40 Pro for the past couple of weeks. And I've had loads of questions from you guys on Twitter and Instagram asking about the app situation, how good are the cameras, do I have any tips? So when Huawei reached out asking if they could sponsor a video, I thought this would be a great opportunity to give you guys my experiences so far, while also giving you a few tips on how to get the most out of it. So by now you've probably seen a whole bunch of videos on the P40 Pro, but I just want to start by emphasizing how much I really appreciate the design of this thing. Now I know that the pill-shaped hole punch cutout is a little bit on the chunky side, and we'll come back to that in a second, but the frost silver model I have here with this matte glass finish looks awesome, and there's not a smudge or fingerprint in sight. I also love the fact that with this overflow design, where the glass screen curves over all four edges, which apparently is inspired by the surface tension of water in a full glass, that the screen itself doesn't actually curve that much. It's mainly just the glass. And I know a lot of people prefer flat displays as there's less risk of accidentally pressing it with your hand. So we're kind of getting the best of both worlds here. The hole punch, I must admit, was a little bit distracting at first, but you do quickly forget about it. And in fact, when watching video, it's usually covered up anyway, and in games, my thumb is over the top of it, so it's not really a big deal. But the advantage is that along with the 32 megapixel selfie camera, we also get an infrared sensor, which I'm so glad they included because I tend to rely on face unlocking. Although we do also have an optical fingerprint reader, but with most phones, when it gets dark, it takes forever to recognize you, or it has to blast the screen brightness up. This works instantly in any condition. My only feedback is that I wish it had stereo speakers. We just have this single one at the bottom, which does sound good, but unless you're wearing headphones, when you say, playing games, or watching videos, it can sometimes sound a little bit one-sided. As for the earpiece speaker, well, you can't actually see it because it's under the screen. It's using an acoustic display which actually vibrates to give you the sound for calls. It does sound good, but unfortunately you can't use it for anything else. So the P40 Pro has a whole bunch of upgrades, from the Kirin 995G chip, the refreshed design, the camera upgrades, but I think one of the first things you'll notice is this new, much smoother 90Hz refresh rate. It just makes everything feel faster, and together with the AMOLED panel, HDR10 support, and P3 color, DisplayMate actually gave it an A+, which is their highest score. It's a beautiful screen. Now on paper, 90Hz and a full HD Plus resolution isn't exactly flagship. There are other phones out there with 120Hz, even 144Hz, and of course Quad HD Plus resolutions. But you know what? I think Huawei has made the right choice here. They've balanced sharpness, smoothness, and also battery life. And paired with the 4200 mAh cell, over the past couple of weeks, I've been averaging about 8 hours of screen on time. Now, to be fair, real world use is a little bit different right now under lockdown. But I'm still watching YouTube videos, listening to Spotify, playing the odd game, and spending far too much time on socials and chatting to friends online. So for example, at 8:30 AM, we're at 100%. By 2 PM, it's on about 83%. And then at around 10 PM, it's still on 37%. And that's after a pretty intensive day of testing. Huawei phones, whatever you may think of them, consistently offer fantastic battery life, and it gets better over time as the AI learns your usage patterns. And then along with the 40-watt supercharging, which will get you from 0 to 80% in just half an hour, 27-watt fast wireless charging, although it's not the super fast 40 watts on the Pro Plus model, and also now we get twice as fast 7.5-watt reverse wireless charging for topping up other devices. So you've got a lot of options. So far, so good then, but what about the app situation? What's it actually like to live with? Well, the truth is, it is a different experience. But if you come into this with an open mind and you're willing to try different versions of apps, and you use a couple of workarounds, I've got most of the apps that I want. As I mentioned in my unboxing video, the first thing you want to do when setting this up is clone the apps from your old phone. This is one of the best ways to get most of your current apps onto the P40 Pro. You can do it from any Android or iPhone, just download the Phone Clone app. It doesn't transfer everything though, but it is a good start. The next step is to check out Huawei's app gallery. And they've got some pretty big apps in there already, from Microsoft Office, Outlook, and Amazon Shopping, to Snapchat, TikTok, and games like Asphalt 9 and World of Tanks. But Huawei's investing $1 billion into getting developers to bring their apps over. So there is a lot of potential here, but it will take time. Right now, Huawei's official recommendation is to use the app gallery and Phone Clone to get the apps you want. But of course there are third-party app stores out there that can help plug the gap of any apps that you can't otherwise find. And in many cases you can actually download the apps directly from the company's website. So as I say, I have most of the apps that I want, but there are a few missing, like Uber, Lyft, Netflix, and YouTube. For the latter two though, I found the best way is actually just creating a web shortcut on the home screen. It's not as well optimized as a dedicated app, but it works pretty well. The thing is, by buying this phone, you are sort of investing in the Huawei ecosystem. So life is much easier if you're happy to adopt their apps. All the essentials you'd expect on a regular phone are here, from video and music to podcasts and fitness. I actually really like their fitness app and I've been using it a lot to keep track of my home workouts. And it's not just the apps either. Huawei's EMUI 10.1 software is genuinely really nice to use. We've got built-in dark mode, dynamic wallpapers, you can put apps in pop-out windows for multitasking, or even use air gestures if your hands are dirty while cooking and trying to read a recipe. They've even added their own voice assistant called Celia.
It won't be rainy in London. It will be mostly sunny with a high of 18 degrees Celsius.
And speaking of the Huawei ecosystem, if you've got one of their MateBook laptops, you can actually check my reviews of this latest MateBook D15, which I posted a few weeks ago. You can simply tap the P40 Pro to pair them, and then use Huawei Share to transfer files, or even the new multi-collab feature where you can effectively use your phone on the laptop. It's pretty nifty. So yes, there's definitely a transition moving to the P40 Pro, but if you're willing to give it a chance, I think you'll find it's better than you expected. Alright, so enough about apps, let's talk about that camera. These are the specs, but the headline is the new much bigger 50 megapixel RYYB sensor. Just a quick thought before we start talking about camera stuff, because in the crazy world that we live in, you can see my hometown's high street is completely deserted because people are doing the right thing and staying at home. But I tend to go for an hour walk a day as part of my one daily dose of allowed exercise, and so I'm just bringing the phones with me and taking some photos along the way. Going out to do camera comparisons is not essential, but I'm just tying it in with some exercise. So yeah, stay safe, guys. As for selfie video, well, we can now shoot in 4K 60. Previously, it was limited to 1080, so a nice boost in resolution. We also now get autofocus for the first time on a Huawei flagship, which, well, hopefully that's demonstrating it. But yeah, it looks pretty good. And along with the 3 microphones built in, hopefully you can hear me reasonably well. The wind noise isn't being picked up too much. And also, as the sun's beating down on me, it's dealing with the bright highlights of one side and the shadows of the other reasonably well. So this is 4K 30 video from the rear camera, and it's kind of crazy what a ghost town everywhere has become. Although obviously it's good that people are staying at home. So video quality is good, and it's using AIS and OIS for video stabilization, although you can still see some judder from my footsteps. And along with a 5x optical telephoto lens, an ultra-wide lens, and a time-of-flight depth sensor, the P40 Pro offers an incredible camera setup. Now for me, I usually turn the beauty enhancements off, but I leave the AI Master enabled as it optimizes the photo based on scene and object recognition. So these are a few shots I've taken over the past week, and you can see that zooming in even up to 10 times is very impressive, although the 50 times digital zoom maybe pushes it a bit too far. But the P40 Pro really stands out in low light. In fact, while it has a dedicated night mode for longer exposure, I only really used this when it was completely dark. Most of the time, the standard photo mode did a great job in low light. And I think one of the best, and definitely less talked about upgrades, is the improved white balance sensor. The P40 Pro managed to offer realistic colors, even in difficult lighting. And then around the front, we have a 32 megapixel selfie camera. It also uses the new IR sensor to help with depth for more realistic portrait shots. So far, I've been really impressed with the P40 Pro's camera, but there's so much to talk about here. I want to save that for a proper deep dive video where I go into more detail. Although I do just want to show you this. It's straight out of the P40 Pro. No edits, no night mode, and not even a tripod. I'm just holding this. I'm ridiculously impressed by how good the moon looks in these shots. So it's been a fun couple of weeks of using the P40 Pro so far, and while it has been a challenge in some respects, it's also been a bit of a wake-up call that maybe we shouldn't all be so dependent on Google's suite of apps. Who's to say that they're the best ones? I mean, in China, the Middle East, and many parts of Asia, their home screens and app drawers would look totally different to ours. But I feel like I've got a good halfway house here. I've got pretty much all the apps that I want, and I'm also using some new ones. It's exciting to see a proper challenger to the App Store and the Play Store. So I'm going to keep using this for a while, and I've also teamed up with Huawei to offer you guys an exclusive discount, so you can get £129.99 off the P40 Pro and FreeBuds 3 bundle. Just follow the link in the description and use the code ATechChap. The Tech Chap would have made more sense, but there you go, ATechChap, like there's more than one of me. But what do you make of the P40 Pro? Would you be tempted to buy it? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video and hit that subscribe button below if you want to see more from me, and I'll see you next time right here on the Tech Chat.